password. Now you would fill out this information about your agency. And so you would put in your organization's name, your recipient type, address, city, and zip. And then you would put in your hours. What's important to note, because this is food recovery, for the hours that you're going to put in there, it's for when you want to receive the food. This would be different than posting your hours for when clients would come in. So it would be the hours that you have staff or volunteers handy that would be able to take the food on site and prepare before your distributions. Okay. And then here are the different food types that you would select. And as Daniela said, this is based upon an algorithm. So once you put in your information based upon your location, your available hours to receive the food, and the type of food that you want to receive, the beauty of this app is that it would automatically match this up on the back end. All right. So you would click on dairy, and then you would click on the amount. What is the minimum amount that you would accept? Same thing for meat, produce, dry foods, and then catering. Because we would be doing outreach to not only grocery stores, but also our growers, restaurants, catering companies, bakeries, etc. So that's why we have those options. So consider what you'd be willing to take. Now, what you see here are trays, because some food companies give out their food in trays. Sometimes the donors, they may identify giving out trays. You might be more comfortable with pounds. So if, depending on the unit that you use to measure, just click on the drop down of which one that you would want to receive and the minimum amount. Please keep in mind that some of our donors, such as a grocery store, they may have a combination of these different items. They may not just have produce. They may have some baked goods, some produce items, some dry goods. Now, what I've heard is that donors prefer to have someone who can come and take all of the food. They prefer not to have people come and just pick and choose what they would like. They would rather just have it all go to a recipient agency, such as yours. Now, I understand that recipient agencies, you may prefer to only get produce. You may not want to get meat. Just keep in mind that when you make those selections, that's all considered when the donors post their items up. And so if you are not accepting dairy or meat, and the donor has dairy and meat as well as produce, well, this may not create a match for you. So just think about that as you're making that determination of what you would receive, so that you can be considered for matching with different donors. Go ahead, Daniela. Did I explain that correctly?
That was excellent. Just one little clarification.
Yes.
I believe in Todd can correct us. That is the maximum amount that you want to list there, not the minimum. So let's say you
Sorry.
put, I have a fridge that can fit up to 1,000, I don't know, like pounds of milk or cheese. And so they might just send me 50. But if I put my threshold in 50, that will be the maximum. So I believe that actually the more that you put there, the merrier. So depending on what your storage capacity is, you say, I can feed a ton of produce, then you put that. Or I can only feed 100 pounds of produce. That's the biggest, the better.
Perfect. So apologies. Let me just repeat that, folks. You want to put the maximum. I do not put your minimum, the maximum amount you can receive. All right. Sounds good. Let's go to the next one. Okay. And so here is just sharing about the different units you can select.
Indeed, that's we just said that.
Mm-hmm. All right. Very important for our volunteers, because if you do not have a driver, we would connect you with a volunteer. That's the beauty of this app. And so what you'd want to do is include clear instructions for who that volunteer needs to connect with when they drop off the food, as well as parking instructions, which store, and if there's a code that you'd want them to use to drop off the food. So that is all part of the form. And so please fill that out. Now you would be automatically accepted as part of the app once you've completed this information. And so once you've clicked on submit, then you would get this screenshot to show that you are added to the ChowMatch platform. So you are good to go.
Yeah, if you get the red letters there, you did it correctly.
Yeah. Add recipient successful means you're in. Okay. Now, some of you may have volunteers, and you also may have drivers connected with your site. And so what we need to do so that your food drivers can pick up the available food is that each of the drivers would also need to create their own accounts, and they would have to sign up. And so that's what we're going to go and show you next. So all drivers would need to sign up as volunteers. There would be a few questions that all volunteers and drivers need to answer to be accepted in the system. It's just some very general food safety questions. All right, so again, they would go to chowmatch.com. They would go to sign up. And then they would select new volunteer or driver.
Yeah,
Okay.
same drill. Password. Yep.
Yep. Create a password. They would have to verify that verify their account via the email they enter. Just a point, they would definitely want to enter an email address that they can check. I just want to bring that up because some of us may have a generic email box that the entire organization uses. In this case, you would really want an email that each person would be checking themselves because they would need to go to that email and then check in that information. And also that way we know which driver is coming. That's important because sometimes last minute changes happen. And if I need to contact that driver because something has shifted or changed last minute, I would need to know which person. And if I had a generic email address, I may not know who is actually en route to pick up the food, for example. All right.
Excellent. And as well as the cell phone number, because they can choose as sorry, I'm moving ahead. The text notifications, it cannot be on a generic phone that it's not a text. We prefer a phone that can receive text messages.
And so this is also important because this box here would show how many notifications or which types of notifications this driver or volunteer would want to receive. Okay, so you can select if it would be daily, weekly, last minute, reminders, and cancellations. Also important is the distance. So here we have 30 miles. I know I didn't mention that, but just consider that too. For anyone who's signing up as a volunteer, thank you. But also make sure that you are looking at that distance rule for what you'd be willing to drive, because that would be part of the algorithm for linking you up to a donor and to a recipient.
Yeah, right. So, Michelle, just to emphasize a little more, if you are, for example, a food pantry that is in several churches or several locations, you want to make sure that your radius is as wide as possible, because that way is when you're going to be notified of all of those donations that you will be possibly driving.
Very good. Okay, and this is the quiz that I just mentioned earlier. This is just a screenshot showing you that you would have to, as a volunteer, and your driver would click on the liability waiver and then answer these questions. And then once you get 80% correct, you are good to go.
Hooray!
Yes. Okay, and so next up, now that you all have signed up as recipients and volunteers, the next piece of this program is that now I will have to go and sign up donors. Some of you may already have relationships with donors, and this app can track that, and you can select previous relationships with your donors. That would be maybe a part 2 for this training. But I just want to let you know that that is completely safe. And once you enter in your donor information, this app can be used to track the number of donations, and it all goes to how we track the sustainability of this program and its reach. But anyhow, I will be reaching out to donors regardless, and I will be signing them up in a separate webinar and they would sign up, and that's when they can post when they have available food. And when I say donors, I'm talking about the restaurants and the growers. And now is a really great time because now it's about the time for harvesting. So we may get some donors that are within Maryland. All right. So in this slide, we're saying once a donor has food to donate by a chow match, the matches are happening on the back end. And then a volunteer driver would then need to sign up to pick up the food run, or I can assign the driver on the back end as the admin. And so that's why we need everyone to sign up to register as an active volunteer so that they can be part of the system to be matched to the donor and the food run. It's up to you as the driver volunteer for which food runs that you would be accepting.
Now, super quick, NourishNet also has some educational resources and opportunities. Our group has produced 5 main flyers and videos. We don't have all the videos ready, but I will just show you that they're all available on our website. And we also provide classes for your pantry staff. So if you have a pantry where there is people supporting your community while they're waiting for their food or as they're distributing food, we can provide you with training for that group of staff that you have so that they learn these 5 topics in a very suitable way that will make it easier for them to make it part of a conversation or to train the people that come to pick up food. So it's a train the trainer program and it's absolutely free. If you want more information about that, you can also contact Michelle. And about the videos, you can just like click on the videos really quick. We have them in English and Spanish and they're all available in our website. Thank you so much. We're moving to the Q&A questions. This was all just basic information on how to sign up. And now I'll stop sharing my screen so that you can all join Michelle and answer your, bring up your questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Daniela. And yes, I'm just going to echo what she said, that we do have a number of educational resources. And so please reach out if we can share those with you. Now I'm going to move on to the question. So question number 1 from Tina: can the driver volunteer be selected to only pick up for a specific agency? And the answer is yes. Okay, so I'm going to pass it on to Daniela or Todd to explain how they can be selected, how they can be connected to a previous recipient or agency.
Todd, are you here with us? I just don't see him because his image is not up. Todd, I don't see him connected.
Okay. So Todd may have stepped out. Danielle, do you want to tackle this or would you want me to?
Sure.
Sorry,
So
can you hear
there
me?
you are. Yeah, sure.
Sorry. Yeah, let me try to answer that question. I think the question was, can a particular volunteer or driver only sign up for their own food runs going to their own agency? Yes, there's a couple ways that we handle that. And so what we have are, if you just to talk about the different type of food runs we have what's called a regular run that could happen, let's say weekly, to a particular recipient. And if that's the case, Michelle or one of her admins would manually assign one of the drivers from that agency to pick up that food run on a regular basis. So that's one way the recipient volunteers get assigned to their own agency.